What's going on, everybody? My name is Matt, and welcome to part 6 of this JavaScript programming series, teaching series, whatever you want to call it. Today we're going to talk about two different ideas. I decided to put these together, as I mentioned in the last video, because the assignment operator is only going to take us a few seconds, and then we can start spending the rest of our time on the comparison operators. So let's start with the assignment operators. As I mentioned, using another example, let's say that you have a variable called num equals 5. And you wanted to increase, I'll use the same example as I used before. You wanted to increase number by 1. Well, you could technically do the num plus plus, which is recommended. You could also do num equals num plus 1. Or you can use something known as an assignment operator, which in this case, if you're using addition, you would say num plus equals 1. And what is happening here is it's saying the same exact thing as it's saying in these other two, but it's a shorthand of writing it. You're saying this is the variable, and whenever I do addition, I want the first value to also be num, and I want to add 1. So it's like saying num equals num plus 1. So I hope that makes sense. It's a shorthand way of writing it. You would usually use this if you're not adding 1. Obviously, if you're adding 1, you could just use plus plus. But if you wanted to add, let's say, a 5, then you would use the plus equals, because that makes a whole lot more sense than just sitting here and doing num equals num plus 5. It makes more sense to just say num plus equals 5. Okay? So you're going to see me write it like this more often than not. Just because this is the shorthand way of writing it, and if it's shorthanded, I definitely want to use it. So that's the way that you do it for addition. So let me go ahead and put addition is plus equals, and then the way that you do subtraction, you know what, just so that we're not getting errors, I'm going to say num plus equals 1. The way that you do subtraction is the exact same thing, but it's minus equals 1. You could do multiplication by doing num star equals 1. You can do division by saying num / equals 1. You can do exponential by saying num * equals 1. You can do modulus by doing num modulus equals 1. So it's pretty self-explanatory. The assignment operators are doing the exact same thing as the arithmetic operators, but you're just adding the equal sign in with the arithmetic operator to create what is known as an assignment operator to prevent you from having to put the variable twice. You're just saying, I want to have this variable modified to be the variable's current value, whatever math arithmetic operator, with whatever the number is. Okay, so that's how assignment operators work. I think those are pretty self-explanatory. If you need to pause the video and rewind it to get this idea, you can. But I think most people can kind of understand what's happening here. If you don't, then please feel free just to watch that part again, and I'm sure that it'll make sense with some practice. Now, let's talk about comparison operators. Totally different than how assignment operators work. But these are symbols used in programming to compare two values. These operators will always return a Boolean value based on whether it is true or false. We will see a lot of conditionals and loops that use this, so it's a very important topic to discuss. Now, we may have already seen the equal sign, but a single equal sign is a way that we initialize a variable. We would say, like, let x equal 5. This is how we are assigning, so it's the assignment operator. But if we want to compare two values, we would use, for this first example, a double equal sign. And this is what's known as a loose equal to. And you'll see why I call it loose equal to here in a second. But this says, and let me actually just modify this so that you can see a good example of this. What this is saying is that this variable is the result of 5 and 5 in a string value. So whenever we run this, console.log, we put the value x, we're going to get the value true. And the reason why is that the number 5 is loosely equal to the string of 5. When it runs this operation, it's actually converting this string 5 to a number first, and then it's comparing the two. But the same would be true if we were to have true and the number 1. When we run this exact same problem, we're going to get true because when true is converted to a number, you're going to get the value of 1. Same is true with 0 and false. Okay? So those are loosely equal to. It does not compare the data types, it just compares the value. Okay? So that's how loose equals works. Let me remove this console log because we're going to need it here in a second. Then we have what is known as a strict equal to. And using the exact same example, we're going to say let y equals 1 equals. There's 3 equals here. True. Now when we console.log y and we run this, we're going to see that the value is false. And the reason why is the strict equal not only compares the value, it also compares the data type. So at first it starts with the value. Is the value correct? If so, okay, cool. Well, is it also the same data type? Well, in this case, no. So this will, by default, evaluate to false. The only way that 1 is going to be strictly equal to something is if it is also 1 over here. You can't even put the string 1 because it is a different data type and it's going to return false. Okay? So this is really recommended if you're looking for a very specific value. It is important that you use the strict equal to. If you're looking for anything that is the same value and you really don't care about the data type as much, then the loose equal to can work as well. Then we have something known as loose not equal to. Now what the loose not equal to, we're going to say let z equals 1 and then a exclamation mark and an equal sign, and then we're going to say 3. What you're saying here is the exclamation mark is known as the not operator. We're actually going to see this when we talk about logical operators in the next video. But this is saying this value does not equal this value. So whenever we console.log z, then we're going to get the result of true. This is not equal to 3. If we were to have this, we're going to run this exact same thing and we're going to get false because we're saying 1 does not equal the string of 1, when in the loose comparison, it is equal to each other. And now if we wanted to use this for the strict, we could do the exact same thing by saying, let's see, strict not equal to let a equals 1 exclamation mark and then 2 equal signs 1. When we run this, we're going to get the value of, whoops, did not use the right, I didn't even put a console log. Console.log a. Let me clear my console here so that you can see it. Boom, we run this and we get true. Because 1 is not strictly equal to the string of 1. Okay? I think these kind of make sense, but if you need to pause it and listen to these again, please feel free to do so. The next ones are ones that we've all learned in school, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on them. We have greater than. This is, in this case, the open mouth. So we'll say 1 is greater than 0, for example. Then we have less than to say 1 is less than 10. Then we have greater than or equal to. So we say 1 is greater than or equal to 1. It is greater than, but it's also, or it's not greater than, but it also is equal to, so it works just fine. Same thing here, less than or equal to, we have 1, less than or equal to 1. I don't need to spend any time on those. I think you guys understand those. If you don't understand how greater than and less than work, the trick is the alligator mouth always opens up to the larger value. Okay, if you ever want to have an idea as to what it is, or you can say the arrow always points to the lesser value. I like the alligator mouth more because it's fun to talk about it that way. But the alligator mouth is always going to be opening towards the bigger prey, the bigger thing to eat. Okay, so that's how that works. And then obviously the equal sign is saying it could be greater than or equal to, and you have less than or equal to. Okay, that's going to be it for this lesson. I know we covered quite a bit of things. We're going to do one more lesson, and then we're going to start talking about conditional statements, which in my opinion is one of the most fun things to do, because then we're going to start talking about blocks of code, not just single line code that we've been writing so far. All right, so let's go ahead. If hopefully by now you're really excited. If the next video is up, go ahead and dive in, keep going, and keep learning. But for real, if you need to take a moment and look at these again, the big ones to keep in mind are the strict and loose equal to, and then the strict and loose not equal to. Those are things that are probably new to you, especially in programming. So I would recommend looking at those, memorizing how those are written down, because we're going to be using them quite a bit going forward, okay? That being said, that's going to be it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like and subscribe button. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Peace.